starting, or?
I guess so.
Okay. Like not like it or not, yeah, it's all right.
Thank you.
Testing. Hey, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for coming out today to celebrate the life of Kasey, Dustin, Bills. For those of you that don't know me, and there's a lot of faces out there that don't, I'm John Bream. I'm lucky enough to be married. Chelsea's only sister. Brain's a little scrambled. So I'm his favorite and least favorite brother-in-law on that side of the family. I know there's a lot of family and friends that couldn't make it today, but I know that they love Kasey a lot. So there's a lot of emotions we're all experiencing, run the gamut. You name it. This is just a part of the grieving process to a situation like this, which nobody wanted, but here we are. We need to work through it, and we're not going to bust out on like the Kool-Aid man on the other side of this thing, and just part of the process. It's never complete. We'll continue to absorb, adjust, and accept his passing on our own time. Well, as that Kurt Vonnegut quote on the flyer says, laughs are exactly as honorable as tears. I myself prefer laughter since there is less cleaning up to do afterwards. So wanted to start with a couple stories and invite everybody, if they would like to, or mingle, whatever, afterwards. But I've been thinking about some of our best and funniest times with Kasey and everybody. And most aren't even PG-13, but hey, this moment is about him and real life experiences with him. Real life isn't PG, so here we go. Buckle up and feel free to pile on. Kasey could do impersonations, TV, movies, whatever. And I started hanging out with that family over 25 years ago, probably. And he was just a little guy. And so from the get-go, I was at the time a tall, skinny guy. Now I'm just almost tall with a bad haircut. So he'd call me Stuart from Mad TV. Stuart. So Stuart was like a grown-ass baby man. At the time, that was me. I could barely grow a mustache. Oh, yeah, the haircuts back then were bad. Bowl cut, and he had a bowl cut of his own, growing out of the mullet phase. Oh, and I'd just play along with that. Stuart, don't, I'd say, and kick my legs. And anyway, good times with that kid. He was always hilarious. And he and Tyson, they were like my surrogate little brothers. I'd boss them around and we'd have a good time. They got a different version of the story, though. Kasey, he always had a lot of social commentary. He'd poke fun at people, not to be cruel, just as, people are funny. So the day Chelsea and I were married in Vegas, we were all down there waiting to be seated. And let me stick to the script. So we're waiting to be seated to go get some food. when a sweet, sweet soul of a lady mentioned how just beautiful Chelsea's dress was, just beautiful. Just out of earshot, walking down the strip, he's just going off. Oh, that's beautiful, just beautiful, just beautiful. And everything is beautiful, man. That's part of my vernacular now, and it'll always, a little inside joke, but if you were told you were beautiful, it was a compliment. No. Yeah, so the kids, well, even Chelsea, geez, Tyson and Kasey, I started had a relationship with the family for a long time since they were really young. So a couple decades ago, we're camping out on Pal. And after a long day, the adults were over enjoying some Cuervo 1800. And all of a sudden, we noticed that the bottle wasn't there anymore, nor were Kasey or Tyson. We knew they wouldn't touch the stuff at that age, especially with Kasey being on mortals patrol, always on watch for any illicit behavior. Anyway, they'd been gone for a while, so I trekked up into the boulders above camp to see what they're doing. When I heard some giggling and then boom, they darted out butt naked, except for the underwear on their head, streaking past all of us and laughing and crashing into the water. That seemed pretty fun, so off with my clothes and I was right in after them. Next thing you know, Chelsea's there too, butt naked.
No.
Oh man, we just laughed our asses off. Again, they have their own version of the story, I'm sure. We did find the bottle the next day, buried in the sand. They were hiding it from us because again, Kasey was playing morals patrol, as we did back then. Oh man, we were so young back then. I have one more story. Oh, Kasey. So Kasey, Jesse, Chelsea, and I were at Lagoon, or as he would call it, Galoon. He always had funny things to call things anyway. So as you know, there's rides involving water. Well, after the first wet ride, they got seated funky and his shoes and socks were soaked. He was pissed, just absolutely livid. There's some F-bombs and whatnot. I can't relate how hot he was. You'd think they were $1 million shoes the way he reacted. And all Chelsea and I could do was just laugh hysterically. It's 105 out here. Why are you wearing shoes and socks? Long socks. Oh, man. Anyway. Well, after a trip back to the cooler and some rehydration with the help of Anheuser-Busch company, he chilled out and we continued to have a great day on rides like the Rattlesnake Rapids, the log ride. And man, we got soaked that day. I mean, I could go on and on with stories like these, and I'm sure everybody else has a million. And feel free to tell your own. Kasey, he'll never be, he may be gone from this world, but he'll never be forgotten. May you be at peace, Kasey. I love you, brother. So it goes.
Anyone else is free to please come share your stories with us. We'd love to hear them. Not everyone at once. Let's see.
so everybody can see it. Okay. No. I don't like to be up. I don't want to. That's that. While I'm here, I have to say that Kasey was so good to us, and he adored this little girl right here and made our camp trips absolutely amazing for her. And the first thing she said when we told her was, "Who's going to play with me now?" He took it so much time out at our camp trips, hanging out with adults, to hang out with her, and it meant the world to her. And since last Saturday, all I've heard on repeat was, I really miss Kasey. And it's hard to lose a best friend like Kasey. He made an impression on her that she will never forget. We love you guys so much. We're going to miss him like crazy, but he means the world to us. And you do too. You want to say something? You do? Say it. Yes, I will say it. I really miss him.
So I've gotten to know Kasey for the last couple of years. First time I met Kasey, I didn't know really what to think of him. He's kind of, which is weird because he was kind of quiet at first, which wasn't what I've heard of him. So we're at my aunt and uncle's house, kind of family doing, everybody got us singing Sir Mix-a-Lot. It's on the video right back there right now. He's sitting right next to me. All of a sudden he starts rapping, just like a wild man, just perfect. I knew that he was a good dude at that time. And about the middle of the song, he stands up and starts twerking right in my face. I'm like, that guy's awesome. So, our most recent memory is we tried to, it's on the video too, tried to stand up 2 guys, 1 paddleboard. We tried it for years and years and years. Finally, we got up. We're paddling to shore. Everybody's watching. We're coming in, conquering heroes. Jason and Kasey on the paddleboard. And there's some dude behind us on one of the rocket things flying up in the air, and everybody's watching them, not watching us at all. So anyway, we love you, Jesse. Love Kasey. I'm going to miss my friend Kasey a lot. So anyway, thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna miss his stories because he always told the best stories. And my favorite story is when he was skiing in Park City, and he met Coolio. And the story was, I met Coolio. Coolio. He probably said Coolio like 15 to 20 times. I couldn't stop laughing. I peed my pants for sure. Oh God, he was such a good dude. Another funny thing is somehow Brandon went to sleep before me out camping, which is really odd. And it was the night we were doing our Wilkins family reunion up Soapstone. And he goes and he puts on Jesse's outfit, shorty shorts, everything like that. And he goes into the trailer to like kind of stroke Brandon on the back. And Brandon thinks it's me. He's like, ooh, what's going on? And then he wakes up, oh my God, it's Kasey. Oh gosh. Oh, I'm just going to miss him so much. And I love you so much, Jesse. I'm going to stay up here with him.
So 2 years ago, we would go golfing, and I was in the golf cart driving Jesse and Kasey, and Jesse got out of the golf cart, and I remember Kasey was telling me, "You're such a good kid, and I love you so much, and I will miss him so much, and I love you
Sorry, I'm gonna cry a lot. I remember the first time I met Kasey. He brought Jesse alone to the house. And it was like 2 in the morning. And I just remember standing in the living room with him talking. And Jesse was asleep. But he's like, she's a girl for me, Jill. And I don't know what I need to do to get her, but I want her. And we just sat and talked about how much he wanted you, Jesse. How much he barely even knew you, and he just knew you were his. And so he discussed everything that night with me, how he was going to go through getting you in his life permanently. Well, when Kasey put his mind to something, there was no stopping him. That's for sure. And he was super good with both of our kids. I seen the video this morning of Thea putting makeup on him, and he was doing the whole little, oh, no, you're making me smell like a girl. She was laughing so hard. He was such a good uncle to all of his nieces and nephews, and he'll definitely be missed. But I love you, Jesse.
Okay, so I'm one of the quieter members of the family and don't talk easily to people, but Kasey was always very easy to talk to. And in one of our conversations in camping, we actually found out that me and him went to the same elementary school for 6th grade. So I dug up my old 6th grade yearbook to look him up because I didn't remember him. He wasn't in my class, and I was a quiet, shy person. But there's some memories in here I wanted to share with you, Jesse. So this was, in 10 years, you will find me and Kasey put, if I could find him. Which one is he? Oh, there he goes. So he wanted to be in 10 years on the Los Angeles Lakers court, playing and going to college. And then there was, like voting, who's going to be who in the next, whatever. So Kasey was voted most likely to be a talk show host. And also most likely to be a movie star. So just wanted to share that with you, Kasey. Jesse, love you.
I've known Kasey a long time, and it's very sad to know he's gone.
It's kind of hard to put a full story together because Kasey just had awesome one-liners. Just at the perfect moment, dropping the perfect line. Some of the best, though, Jesse, I think, was his impression of you. It seems like every camp trip, something terrible would happen to you guys. And I'm sorry, you guys had some horrible luck. But Jesse would show up, start telling the story, and he'd just, no. Jesse was like, oh, it's fine. And he kind of always just took the story over from you, but his impression of you was awesome. Another interesting and funny thing happened. We were out at Knowles. And there was this Can-Am that had a catastrophic breakdown. Just shocks blew through the roof and just it was horrible. And my Uncle Daryl, he's brainstorming, how do we help these guys back at camp? We'll go get this. And they come back, and I'm kind of just like, so what's going on up there? What can we do to help? And the whole time, Kasey's just staring at Daryl, just this disgusted look on his face, like, what? Are we not going to talk about what just happened? And Daryl's like, what are you talking about? That dude had boobs. And he was just like, and then Daryl like, no. And then we all go back up, help these guys, and sure as shit, dude had boobs. But Kasey, the entire camp trip, just walking up to Daryl, how's your boyfriend doing? Oh, and Kasey somehow named the guy Kevin. There was a lot of stories. Gonna miss him. Campfires will never be the same. We love him. We love you, Jesse. We're gonna miss him.
You guys probably all know me. Jesse, his wife. I'm gonna miss my English teacher. He always corrected even when we were in fights, just a deep fight, just screaming at each other. He said, that's not a word. And I would get so angry, I'd be like, shut up. Like, we're fighting. Quit correcting me. I remember one time, probably the one and only time we babysat the little twins, Millie and Hattie. We just got done feeding them. And Kasey's picking Hattie up and just playing with her. And I'm like, you better put her down. Like, she's going to spit up on you. He lays down on the floor and sure as shit, she dropped broccoli in his mouth and he was like, he wanted to puke. But it was hilarious. I'm going to miss him. It was my rock. And there's so many stories about him. He was funny. He made me laugh. Kasey really was your rock. All I've thought about the last few weeks is how often Jessie and I, she's my sister, we've been in some knockout scream fights on the phone. And Kasey was always the one there, bringing peace and calm to our conversations. He just loved everybody.
I'm Jesse's best friend, Megan. We had so much fun with Kasey. We have this really big fat bulldog named Ruby, and no matter how much she weighed at the time, Kasey was always determined that he could pick her up, and he always did. There was one time that my husband Ross, he was determined that he could hold him on his shoulders. And Ross is a very strong guy, but Kasey somehow managed to do it. And so there's lots of pictures of that. He was like a brother to me. My brothers are gone. And so I hope he's up in heaven fist bumping them for me. Our car broke down out of the blue one time, and Kasey was able to help find a new motor for it and replace it for us. We bought a Chevy Duramax, and we wanted to put side rails on it, but they make DEF tanks now. So my husband Ross decided to install, you can't do that. So we had to call Kasey over, and they had to use all of his cool tools that he has, and they were out there for a while just underneath the truck, and he helped drop the def tank and install the side rail, so the truck didn't look so ghetto. But we had so much fun on all the razor rides we went on, camping trips, and we're really gonna miss him, but I hope he's at peace, and I hope he knows that I'll always be here to take care of Jesse.
All right. So there are a lot of stories, camping stories. So I had to just tell you a couple of quick stories. So they're mostly funny, which hopefully helped me get through it. So we were out at the sand dunes, me and my wife Liz and Jesse and Kasey. We were riding our Razor, and they were riding motorcycles. And we got clear out. It's called the Rock Pile. It's probably 2 miles from Oasis Campground. And we were sitting talking, got on the vehicle and started back, and Jesse's wouldn't start. And she's like, I can't get it started. And he's like, why? So he goes over, they open the gas tank, it's empty, has no gas in it. He's like, oh, I thought I put gas in there. So then he says, I'll run back and get gas. Jumps on his bike. He made it about 300 yards. And his bike ran out of gas. So they spent some quality time out there while we ran back and got some gas for them and bring it back. And then after, I don't know if he still learned that lesson or not, but let's see, that we were at a Wilkins family reunion up at Soapstone, and he had got his Razor not too long before that. And we may have been drinking. I'm thinking that. And we were waiting for, I believe it was my sister Pam. And so Kasey's like, well, let's run up and to the road and see where she is. So I said, okay, we'll ride in your Razor. So he drives pretty fast, and everybody realizes that he had 1 speed, and that was full throttle everywhere, all the time. So we fly down this road. We're every corner we're sliding, and he's like, it's fast. I'm like, yeah, it's fast now. Hanging on, get down to the pavement, and no sight of Pam. And he's like, what's this? And out in the middle of the road, and he does donuts. He starts doing donuts in his Razor on the pavement. It's squealing, and I said, you're gonna kill us. And he let off the gas. Up on 2 wheels we went. Somehow he saved it and pulled it back down. I don't know how he saved it. I thought he was gonna kill us both right there that night. So anyway, there's lots of stories, but I'm really gonna miss camping with him, and hopefully you will keep camping with us so we can continue memories. But thank you.
It's kind of hard. I talked to Kasey the night before this happened, but he was such a great guy. First time I ever met him, Jesse and Megan were sweating bullets, thinking we weren't gonna like each other. And we went out to dinner, I remember, and Kasey ordered like Cajun pasta or something, and it was not very good. And Kasey voiced his opinion to everybody, and I was like, man, who is this guy? Like, he's complaining already. Like, and he sent it back to the chef, and and they gave us like 3 free meals and a bunch of stuff. And I was like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna like this guy, but afterward we hung out. We got to liking each other a little bit more, and I just remember it was almost like stepbrothers. Like, did we just become best friends? And he was like that, just a great guy. Come over and help whenever you asked him. He'd give you the shirt off his back, literally sometimes if you needed one. But I'm gonna miss him a lot. One of the greatest times, I guess, was when we were camping. A lot of camping memories with Kasey. And we had a mutual friend named Rich. Supposedly he was a motorcycle rider, and he decided to ride Kasey's motorcycle. Well, Kasey was running him through the motorcycle, and you could just tell Rich had no idea what he was doing. And Kasey gets done, and he comes over to me. He's like, Ross, you're going to want to film this. Gosh dang it, I didn't have my phone out, but Rich decided to dump the clutch and run over into the table and run over all of our camping gear and all of our beer and everything else. But we just sat there and laughed. And gosh, I still wish I had pulled my camera out for that. But really gonna miss Kasey. Talking to him, he's a blast to talk to. I'm sure all of you know. Gonna miss him a lot, and love you guys. You can say it. Reese misses Kasey too.
So I met Kasey. Oh, heck. I met Kasey when I was about 16 when I moved up here to Spanish Fork. Hung out with Tyson. That's probably the first time I saw some stretchy bubble gum. So he was very willing to show that all the time. And then I think one of my most favorite memories of him though was me, Kasey, and Tyson would go snowboarding quite a bit. And we'd be going down the slopes just singing songs and stuff like that. So he was a good guy.
All right. Shoot, nothing's loud, huh? I'm Hagen. I was Kasey's crazy roommate. He was, I don't know, we did this little program together, but all that kid and his stories, 30 days together. I don't know, some of the funniest shit he tells. I remember he was telling me a story about you on your anniversary or something, the Corvette got you pulled over, and the whole little expression, and you had a warrant or something out for your arrest. And just like that other dude got up here and he's like, oh, the expressions of Jesse, like, oh God, and he'd just get that face up there, cracked me up. But yeah, I was his roommate forever, and we'd go on little trips to the dollar store and shit and whatnot, And I don't know, I had pictures of my kid, pictures of the family or whatever, and he's always calling. He's like, Jesse, I need some pictures, and he gets some pictures of my wife. I didn't even pack any of that, It's like, dude, you know, whatever. And yeah, anyways, I got some Christmas lights and put around my picture. I don't know. he was like, dude, you got pictures, you got Christmas lights in our room now. What the hell are you doing? But, dude, miss that kid. I don't know, he'd be pissed if I didn't get up here and say anything or something. So I had to get up here and say, I was nervous in front of all these people. But, yeah, really good dude. He was kind of like my little keeper. Every night, we'd go, he'd be like, dude, you sign your name up on the phone list? Yeah, Case, I got it. Did you get yours? Yeah, I got it, Or like, we'd be up later. Him and I always stayed up late. Or he'd be, hey, you come in bed? No, go to bed, Kasey. Like, I don't gotta go to bed with you. I don't know. Just always a good ass dude looking after everybody. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah, dude, he loved you a lot. That's all he talked about. You. Love you guys.
Hi, me again. So it was, I think last, it was, I think last, oh no, it was last July, so the 24th of July, and we were out at Starvation Reservoir, and he was talking about this guy named Scooter Bivens, and I was like, me and my family, we were like, who is Scooter Bivens? Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, he's a noodler, and we're like, okay. And so he pulls it up on his phone, and he's like, it's this really tough guy, and like, he noodles fish, and am I saying that right, noodler? I don't know. And and so, and then this guy that noodles, and he's so buff, and it was like, okay, that's cool, I guess. But yeah, that's it.
Hi. I wish I got the memo to wear something cool. I look like a fucking asshole. And Kasey would tell me that too, I'm sure. But yeah, no, I met Kasey in treatment as well, and I was roommates with him in Hagen, so spent a lot of time with him, and it was just kind of cool to hear stories of him. I knew him as a good friend, but it's good to see him as a good husband and brother and uncle and whatnot. But yeah, I'll miss him, and it's funny you brought up Scooter Bivens because he wouldn't shut up about Scooter Bivens in treatment either. So yeah, I'm gonna miss him, and it's just nice to see all you guys out here for him. So.
Hi. Oh, that is I'm Jesse's cousin, and I didn't really get to meet Kasey all that much, but wow, all these stories are so amazing and so beautiful to see how he touched everyone's heart. And I mean, the only message I got from him was, why didn't you come to the family reunion on Messenger? Because my cousin David got to go up there, and my cousin David, he came back and he's like, your family's so cool. Like, I want to be a Wilkins. And I'm like, well, you were on that trip. And he was talking about some guy, and I was like, Alex, Jason? And he's like, no. And I was like, Kasey. I'm like, oh, you got to meet him. And I was so jealous of him because I'm like, I wanted to go hang out with him and all of them. And I just want to say that I love you. And I'm just glad that we all got to come here and share these wonderful stories that we'll treasure. That's it.
Hello. High school with Kasey, and God, he's just always good for a laugh. I remember going to the urinal, and I was 6 feet tall, and he was a lot shorter. But I remember going and like it's just like empty bathroom, and all of a sudden you hear this John, and it echoed, like looked over, and I could just see these eyes just turn right over the top. We laughed and laughed for some stupid reason. And then after high school, me and him worked together. I mean, he had to work extra hard. Had to work being a comedian and working the job. The work he did was flawless. And I remember one time we cleaned out a storage unit, and him and this buddy kid, they were emptying it out, and there was these bars. And they had big mandrels. Anyway, I turned around, and he's over there, and buddy's just over there yelling, give it all you got. And he's on the ground just pumping it. And I turn around the corner, look over, and there's the boss. The buddy sees it, and he's just like scrambling. And when he gets up, they call him Wee Whiz. He got up, and he just kind of slapped, and he looks over, and he's just like, damn it, caught again, But he'd always butt heads with this guy at work. And this guy had a mullet, and it was just game on for him, We were standing on this part. He looks down, and there's back and forth. And this guy looks up and standing on his block, and looks up, and he says, $20 says you're gay. And Kasey turns over and says, I'll bet you $20, or I bet you that muskrat on the back of your head, I'm not. But yeah, he was just a good dude. Lots of fun. Miss him.
There's a memory that we had at a family reunion that we had in Soapstone, and one night we decided that, I don't know if you've ever seen the things they shoot in the air and they whistle and then they come down really slowly. Well, we had a whole bunch of those things, and we decided that we were going to shoot them at each other. And there was probably 25 of us out in a field shooting them at each other, and he couldn't hit anybody to save his life. So he decided that his best tactic was to tackle you first and then hit you with him on the ground. So it was pretty funny. Another thing I always found funny about Kasey is he could fix anything in a truck, a vehicle, anything with a motor, but he didn't know much about trailers. Every time he got down to where we were camping, he's like, something's wrong, I don't know how to fix it. But he could fix anything in a motor, which is It's kind of funny. So he was a cool guy.
Okay, one more story. So we get down to the sand dunes, and Jesse and Kasey get down there, and Kasey, he's all upset about the side of his razor because he says Jesse tipped it over and damaged the side of the razor. And so he's showing us the damage and stuff, and we're like, okay, well, we're getting ready to go for a ride. So I tell him, we be careful because where we go up onto the sand, you got to take an immediate left turn because it drops off the other side. And we were leading. We went up over that hill, turned around. Kasey came up over that, we went, turned, rolled that thing on its side. And his dog was freaked out. But Jesse, it's vindication for Jesse because he was all complaining that she rolled it. And he, first time on the sand, tipped it right over. And he was all upset, telling us it was our fault. And I think.
Tell Kevin's story from your perspective, please.
Oh, no. Yeah, so we had found two actually Can-Ams that had been broke down, and we helped the one guy. Well, he was beyond help. But then this guy, his was just bent. He was beyond help. But then this guy, his was just bent. The back axle was bent like that. And I thought, well, if we had a hammer. So I had stopped. I got out. I walked over. I'm talking to him. I noticed that he had painted fingernails, but I didn't notice anything else. I didn't notice anything about him. I was just talking to him. And then I went and got back in my side-by-side, and Kasey and Devin and Jesse were in the side-by-side. And we started driving back, and he's like, are we going to talk about this? And I'm like, talk about what? He's like, that dude had boobs. And I'm like, no, he didn't. So we got a hammer and stuff and went back over there. And then after I noticed, and I couldn't even look at the guy. Here's the hammer, dude. It was so embarrassing. I couldn't look at him after I realized that he had these boobs. It was terrible. And every time I seen Kasey, he would remind me of Kevin.
So we're really gonna miss Kasey. He was our son-in-law. One of the traditions we started in our family for Christmas, of all things, was Christmas night or our holiday night. We would play Murder in the Dark. And it consisted of our family sitting in a circle. We'd put scraps of paper in a bowl, and the murderer was the one with the little dot on the paper. And the way you played it is you'd shut off the lights or dim the lights, and you'd look around at each other, and the murderer would wink at you, and that indicated that you had passed away. Well, everyone knows that Jessie can't wink without, because she can't just wink, she does this thing, and so that gives it away. Well, we didn't find out till just our last get together that Kasey has been cheating for Jessie and taken her little dot. And he was very good at the game.
He
I
was,
think
he was really good.
so. Oh yeah, yeah. He was very good at the game.
He did. At Thanksgiving this last year, he brought the mashed potatoes and
Oh yeah.
he was heating up the mashed potatoes on the stove, and all of a sudden the mashed potatoes started rising. They rose like 2 inches above
Oh, it
the
was more
pan.
than 2 inches. Remember that? I think it's like coming out.
He's like, oh crap. It was cute. We're gonna miss him so much. He was such a sweet man.
I could barely walk up here without crying. I'm gonna tell a funny story so I don't cry. It's Kevin. I have a picture actually of Kevin on my phone. I tried to find it, but I couldn't find it. But so we're riding around and we see these group of people just like looking at the razor and just kind of like and so we pull up and we're chatting. All of us we're around Kevin talking to him and we're like, oh, we'll go get a hammer, we'll come help you. And we get in the razor and me and Kasey look at each other and we're like, and we look up at the front to like see if there's any reactions. And we're like, me and him both lean and we're like, did you guys not see that shit? And Daryl's like, what? And I was like, did you not notice that guy had double D's? And he's like, what do you mean? And we're like driving back and we get it back. I'm like, you gotta look. I don't know how you missed that. And the dude had multicolored fingernails and nicest gentleman. He invited us to come over and have a beer. And it was just a joke. Like, you gonna go have a beer with Kevin? It was so great. I love that guy. And that night, me and him stayed up just talking shit about Kevin till like 2 a.m. I love that guy. Thank you.
So my mom and Rick being up here just reminded me of Thanksgiving too. The previous year before that, and Christmas, Rick and Mom had came up with a game where you had to try and unwrap a present, and whoever finally got the last present unwrapped got the gift. Kasey, he cheated out a lot of stuff. So when he got the box to start unwrapping, he just punched his hand through it. It was like, I win. And so at Thanksgiving, Rick had found a video of these guys trying to guess box, or if you didn't have it, you tried to get them to switch boxes with you. Well, so Kasey played the game against my brother-in-law, Jaden, and Jaden beat him both times. So they each had 3 times, and each time Jaden was like, you want my box? And Kasey was like, do I want your box or not? And Jaden was like, I'm serious, you want my box? And Kasey would keep his box, and it ended up being that Jaden's box had the carrot in it. So then Jaden and my husband, Mitch, played against each other, and Mitch won Jaden. And Kasey was like, I got to play Mitch now, because this is just like not fair, because he had to just try to be the one that beat them all. And he didn't win against Mitch either. But he was just so, like, anytime you had a challenge for him, and he's like, I'll do it. I'm totally up for this challenge. So that is something I will miss about Kasey, is he was always up for the challenge that you wanted to give him. And he was the funnest at playing games with, because he was so like, no way, I didn't lose, I win. So it's just something I thought I'd share.
Hattie, little broccoli spitter, decided to come up with it. She thought she'd be willing to do that. So, you know, it's been a hard couple weeks. We love you, Jesse. Why don't you tell them? Okay, so pretty early, man.
quite a few years ago when Jesse and Kasey were dating, and it was looking pretty serious between the two of them. Cammy and I, we were the experienced couple there. Her sister always has to be a good example to her little sister. I mean, absolute best stuff we could have. Kasey kind of picked at it. He ate a few bites of everything, but I was quite disappointed, that he wasn't just eating it up like we were. I think it was later that night. I don't know if he was still at the house or not, but as it turns out, Kasey didn't have much of a sweet tooth. And anyone that knows me knows that, I do. And so pretty much in hindsight, every single side, whether, the salad at the beginning was some Jell-O something, and pretty much every part of the meal was something sweet. So then after Hattie and Millie were born, they were, when they were about 9 months old, Jesse and Kasey had been offering to watch the girls for us so we could go on a date or something. And I don't know what we were doing. We had maybe a work party or something. I don't know. But me and Hattie made a deal. She was 9 months old at the time. We made a deal that we were going to get him back for not eating those sweets. And so she volunteered to regurgitate some of that broccoli that she had for dinner. And I don't know why, Jesse was recording it, so lifted her up. It's just hilarious, just right in his mouth. It was great. Millie, he'll always be Uncle Stacy to Millie, and so we definitely milked that as much as we could, because Millie called him, when she was first learning to talk, we called him Uncle Stacy, and so he was always our Uncle Stacy. And I think Millie had something to say. If you talk right here, you'll be here. Yeah. Okay.
So after we found out that night, I was too scared to sleep alone in my bedroom. So I asked Hattie, and I was like, why don't we go upstairs and sleep with Dad and annoy him the whole night? Right, Hattie? And well, I kind of thought it. I don't know. Anyway, so we went upstairs and I started kicking Hattie, and she got so annoyed. So she started kicking back, and we were grumbling with each other. And Dad said he stayed up the whole night, just
Yep, stayed up the whole night. This definitely leaves a big hole in the family. We loved Kasey. I think it's okay to not be okay. This is a hard time for everybody, especially you, Jess. We love you.
Hi. I'm so happy to see so many people here in support of Kasey and Jesse. I am Kasey's aunt, Doug's sister, and most of the stories I have to share of Kasey are all the time he was growing up. He was kind of a little spitfire and always could make you smile and make you laugh. He had such a sweet, sweet personality. And I could see so much from my brother and into the time that he had on this earth, and with his sweet wife and all his good friends, and such great memories of us when their life counts. And he won't be forgotten, and he will be loved. And I wish I could have spent more time with him as an adult, but you know, as people our age, when kids grow up and they leave the nest,